myself, my name is O, H to the OV. I used to move snowflakes by the OC. I guess even back then you can call me CEO of the ROCO. Fresh out the frying pan into the fire, I be the music man's #1 supplier. Fly it in a piece of paper bearing my name. Got the hottest chick in the game wearing my chain. That's right, not DOC, but similar to the letters. No one can do it better. You can blame Sean, but I ain't invented the game. I just rolled the dice trying to get some change. I done came through the block, but I ain't invented the game. Still alive, it's in my veins. Only God can check me. Only God can check me, so I'm gone.
Play it day one with Game Pass.
Let's welcome Chris Esaki back to the show. Hello, Chris. Good to see you.
How's it going, Leah? How you doing?
I am doing well, thank you. Last time we spoke was actually back in December. Every time we speak, it feels like a lifetime ago. We talked about a lot of things to do with the new Forza Motorsport, but particularly at that point, how the team was working on the car suspension, right? And ensuring the different simulation elements in the game were like really realistic. Well, we just got a first look at the first Motorsport gameplay last Sunday at the showcase. And, I mean, I have to say, I was watching it on stream. I saw you on stage. I was like, it's Chris! Yes! Always feels good to see a familiar face.
That's cool.
Absolutely. But
Thanks,
you were there, you were talking about... it's a pleasure to see you every single time. You were talking about the new Forza Motorsport, and we saw quite a lot of new things. So... it was really nice being able to see everything we've spoken about of the last year of conversations on the show here and actually see it, pardon the pun, in motion. So it must have been fantastic to see that on screen for you as well.
Yeah, and you know, I just gotta say, huge shout out to the team. And I get to represent all of their amazing work, and I always feel really awkward about that. Because it's a big team and it's a super talented team, and I just wanted to call out some of the amazing people that really made those videos happen, either the trailer or the demo videos. So Shay and team and the media team, Shay and Tim and the media team, that really put this all together. Arthur and Josh, and they did some amazing work. They had the vision and the tenacity to make that incredible one-shot demo video. Everyone was telling them not to do the one-shot, and they stuck to their guns, and just incredible work. It really shows off like the technology, the engine, of course, all the visuals, the amazing environment art team, but then also Colin and his rendering team that really built all of the incredible technology that made all the visuals and all of the gameplay possible. So I just want to say huge shout out to the team. They did amazing work, and you know, you got to see these amazing videos, and I hope you enjoyed it too.
Absolutely, it was an absolute joy to see that. And you were talking about the technical feats. I mean, let's talk about that, shall we? I mean, you've built it from the ground up to showcase Series X and Series S consoles for the Xbox. So, yeah, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's right. You know, first off, just want to say that there's so much to talk about. I mean, being built from the ground up, that means everything from our engine, visuals, physics, gameplay. It's all built from the ground up here. So there's so much to talk about, so much to show, and we surely can't do it all in one show. And one of the things that I did want to mention here, and I think some people that are watching kind of understand this, traditionally, we would have done this kind of E3 timeframe reveal, and then the game would have been out a couple months later. And that's not the case here. So a lot of the stuff that we have shown, you know, it's new to us too. We have a ton of time between now and when we launch, and we're going to be able to show in depth all of these things that we've been building. Like I said, there's so much to show. So I know everyone here is super excited about seeing all of the new features that are in the game. You know, we've shared a lot on previous Forza Monthlies about the underlying tech and gameplay systems. You know, and I'm going to hit on some of those again today, but I would please go and check out the year in review post on the new Forza website. So go and check that out. There's a lot of that info all collected there. And I just want to call out things like Our multiplayer mode has the whole race weekend structure with open practice and qualification and scheduled races with tire and fuel strategy. We're going to do a deep dive into the entire multiplayer mode and on a future Forza Monthly. Same thing with the career mode on a future Forza Monthly. We're going to do deep dives on all of these things, the different modes of game. They're all new. So, like I said, there's a ton of new stuff to talk about being built from the ground up. So what I'm going to start with today is about our tracks, some of the lighting models, some of the physics and gameplay that you saw in the trailer. The tracks, as you saw, they just look. I think there's a true generational leap in the visual quality of all of the tracks that you saw. So they're built from the ground up. You saw some amazing new tracks, new to Forza, but also in particular Maple Valley that had been in Forza Motorsport since the first Forza Motorsport. And even there's some community videos that have shown like the evolution of Maple Valley since Forza Motorsport 1 through 2 through 7, and now even and showing some of the visuals from the new Forza Motorsport. And I think you can really, really tell just how much of a visual leap we've made just in Maple Valley, right? And it goes to show just how much quality we're getting out of the complete rebuild of all of these tracks. Laguna Seca is another great one. Like we showed that a while back at a previous E3, and I think you can tell like the visual quality there is incredible. It's been in Forza Motorsport since also the beginning. Laguna Seca has always been there. One of my favorite tracks. But as you see it in this trailer video, it just comes across as ultra realistic. We laser scanned the track, tons of new detail in the actual track itself, like the detail of the surface, and with all that laser scanning, with all the physics improvements that we've made, all of our tracks, whether they're new to Forza or whether they're returning, they're all new. They're all built from the ground up, and they look amazing and they drive amazing because of that. All of these improvements we've made, whether it's laser scanning, whether it's all the physics improvements we've made. So I think you've seen it. The proof is in the pudding there. Tracks look incredible. They're all built from the ground up. Now our lighting model, we made a big deal in the demo about our real-time time of day, our dynamic time of day. It's a big deal, and I think we'll go in detail about it a little bit further. I hope to kind of touch on this a little bit further, but it's on every track. Our time of day, our new lighting model, something that wasn't really available on previous generations of motorsport, like time of day on every track. It is now there on every track. That's what these new systemics in how we've built these different tracks, and the systemic lighting model for us allows us to do that. And lastly, built from the ground up, we've talked about physics. You mentioned we talked about the suspension modeling. I think in the previous, it's a long time ago now. The last time I was on Forza Motorsport. It's been forever. What more is there to say about the claim that we made around 48 times the physics fidelity? It's true. Like you've heard it here before on stream. We have 8 points of contact per tire, where we had 1 per tire in previous motorsports, with 6 times the frequency per tire. So just doing the math there, 8 points of contact versus 1, 6 times the frequency updates. That's 48 times the fidelity. And that's on a per tire basis, right? So that's incredible to me, right? Yeah. And so when we talk about that, it's easy to like meme the whole 48 times the physics. But if you're here watching the show, you probably know that the tire model is the most important thing to get right. The most important thing in the physics modeling, right? So it's true. It's a 48 times jump in the fidelity of this modeling, the tire model. And what I can tell you, right, it's like, okay, that's great. It's this big jump in physics, but in reality, that means it feels incredible. It's the best driving experience we've ever had. That plus all the extensive improvements with suspension and weight modeling, and there's a whole host of other things we've talked about in previous Forza Monthlies. you know, this is just the best driving experience we've ever had. It feels incredible. It still has that Forza feel because of all the amazing tuning that we've done, but at the heart of it is an incredible simulation. Nothing like we've had before, and I think everyone's going to be really, really happy when they get their hands on it.
Absolutely. And I think we just actually saw there in that clip another bonus of building from the ground up for the series consoles is you can harness ray tracing, and that is, I feel like sometimes it's quite subtle, and other times it's very much not subtle. You can really tell. Like, I mean, here, for example.
Yeah, ray tracing. There, I said it. If you're playing bingo at home, you can mark that one off. But you know, ray tracing is here. It's on track, and most importantly, it's real time gameplay. Like, I really want to make that clear. When we say on track, that doesn't mean, oh, it's only in replays or it's only in photo mode on track, and they're just being, you know, they're being funny with words. We're not trying to mislead you here. When you are racing, when you are playing the game, ray tracing is on. Like, I just want to be really clear about that. So when you're playing it, like I said, it's a level of immersion there that it can be subtle at times, but it's a thing that really just pulls you into the visual and the experience, unlike we've had before. So when we talk about ray tracing, yeah, it looks amazing. You know, it looks photoreal. It looks super immersive. You get that in gameplay, and I just want to be really clear about that. In this trailer video, you're actually seeing some amazing stuff with ray tracing, but also something that I wanted to call out. In non-gameplay, so not racing, we even have a full global illumination with ray tracing capability. And you saw actually some of that in this trailer. So once again, not gameplay, but in some cases, you can even see some amazing full global illumination with this real-time ray tracing. And I think that's incredible, right? So it just goes to show once again how far we've come from the ground up with our lighting and just with this ray tracing, about how immersive and how much of a visual leap we've made because of these new consoles and this new power that we have at our hands.
Absolutely. And speaking of visuals, people are used to day and night racing, you know, having the option and things, but we've spoken a lot about the time of day changes being dynamic. So what exactly does that mean, and how is it different to a usual setup?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, there's and we've had time of day in previous motorsports, but in this case, when we say fully dynamic time of day, you know, full 24-hour day and night cycles, and it's on every track. And there's new dynamics in that as well. So I think you saw in the trailer, there's some fast forwarding through time where you can actually see this time of day transition. Like that's something that you can control in the game, right? So in previous things, you didn't really have that level of control. You're able to set things like, oh, we want 24-hour day-night cycles to be a certain, you know, take this amount of time or that amount of time. We want it to be a full 24-hour time. These are things that you can now set, and we'll do a deep dive into kind of things like free play and other options here that will really detail out, you know, what those options are that are player facing that you can set. But once again, it's fully dynamic, and there's even additional things with accurate sun positioning, you know, and weather. Like, we haven't really gone into details here. And we'll do that on a future Forza Monthly, where there's just so much here to kind of talk about and detail out, because it affects gameplay, right? This is the other dynamic that I think is just super, super meaningful to me. Maybe not to everyone listening, but things like, you know, I touched upon in the demo video, you know, these time of day changes actually affect the ambient temperatures on the track, right? You know, it's this whole system, right? Sun comes up, it heats up the world, and things like the actual track temperature, like the actual track surface temperature, that changes in time, right? Like when the sun is out, it heats up the track. It changes how much grip you have on the track, right? Sun goes down, it cools the track, right? This happens. We're simulating all of this. So when you're driving, if you're going through a 24-hour day-night cycle, right, you're actually feeling these changes in grip over time. And I think that yeah, I think it's really, really cool. And so that's
Yeah.
just one of these new dynamics that we have in the game. We also have things like, and I think I touched on in the demo, we got rubbering in this time around. So, anytime you're driving around, you leave a little bit of rubber on the track. The longer that goes, the stickier that racing line becomes. That's another thing that it's going to be changing over time, right? That new dynamic. So you add that, you add these track temp changes with time of day, and then the weather on top of all of that. You just have this changing gameplay of how you're approaching the track, the feel of the track as you're driving around it. And that just plays so well with all of these new tire dynamics that we have, whether it's the multiple tire compounds or whether it's the new fidelity there in the actual tire modeling. So yeah, time of day, it looks amazing. It's this cool new dynamic, but really when it comes down to it, like what it does for the gameplay is just it opens up a whole new lot of depth, subtlety, and it's just great. It's just really cool.
Yeah. Doesn't just affect the lighting, making it light and dark. There's
Right.
a whole system there in place. That's awesome to hear, actually. And speaking of affecting things, including the car and the racing, we get rain as we can. Oh, there you go. We just saw a lovely shot of the rain. Perfect. And with rain comes mud and dirt. And we've seen the simulated dirt, and here, look, perfect. So look at this timing. The damage we can
Look at
see
this.
here as well. It's great. But with this dirt and damage, like, how does that affect your car other than just simply looking different cosmetically?
Yeah, one of the things that I think the team really loves about cars and racing is like the story. Like at the end of a race, the cars after the end of a race have this. Like you look at it and you look at all the details of like the wear and the dirt and the grime and the rubber that's been building up on the front bumpers and the wheel wells and you just. It tells the story of the race, right? It tells the story of what happened, what you experienced, what these cars experienced. And this is what we're capturing with this entirely new car damage model, right? Every car has its own damage model, and you can see how much, like the fidelity of like I said, the individual scratches are being reproduced. Like this is true. Like we're going to a level of detail here that allows the players to like look at these cars after a race or during a race, and like there's a story to be told there. Even down to some of the new wheel damage that we have, or the dirt and grime buildup, whether it's on the front of the car, the rear of the car. These little details just tell that an incredible story. So I'm just super proud of this work, and it really just goes to show how much I think the team really just loves the racing, loves cars, and then loves how like these stories are told through both of those things. So yeah, the damage isn't just about like, oh, cool, hey, we're gonna run people off the road and it's gonna be amazing. Like we don't care about that, right? That's not what this is about. What it's about is being able to tell this story authentically, right? To really tell this racing story that you can only really get, I think, with this type of damage. And anyway, I think it's super immersive, and I think it's super cool. So yeah, I'm proud of it.
Absolutely, it is immersive because, as you say, it's telling the story. You look at the car and you're like, "That I know exactly where that scrapes from. I know exactly where that dents from. Like it's that exact point of the race is where this is from." And that just makes it even more immersive because it makes it feel like it's your race. It's you driving. It's your experience right there. And it's not a canned experience. It's entirely something you've created for yourself. And that makes it incredibly immersive. I mean, what other ways is the team achieving that immersion alongside that?
Wow. Great question. So there's a whole host of new things, and I think you see some of this in the trailer. Just whether it's we talked about the time of day, the dynamics there, right? The amazing ray tracing that we've seen already, the damage that we've seen. Like these are all things that really help you really just live in that moment. But additional things we've talked about things like tire and fuel management and multiple tire compounds. These are really important things that really bring that authenticism to the race. That level of immersion once again, right? You're really having to think about these things. As I'm using fuel, the car is changing its weight. I have to think about how much fuel I'm using. I have to think about the conditions of the tire. These are all super immersive. and you're feeling these over time, right? You're feeling the car changing, you're seeing the world changing. These are all elements that just really deepen the driving experience, and of course then the racing experience. So,
and I think immersion is one of those things you have to experience, right? You have to play it yourself and go,
absolutely,
I get it. It's hard to talk about it, and clinically examine immersion. You have to just like experience it for yourself. So let's move on to some of the things we've actually talked about before, including Tyre compounds. Is something we've actually spoken about here on Forza Monthly. So tell us.
Yeah, I think we've chatted a little bit about it already, right? Like I just in previous Forza Monthlies we talked about having soft compounds, medium compounds, and hard compounds, right? And that's at the heart of these multiple Tyre compounds and Tyre strategy, right? So I think I touched on this earlier. Softer compounds, they're super grippy, right? They're super grippy and they wear really quickly. And our hard compounds, they're the opposite, right? They last forever, but they have the least amount of grip across the different Tyre compounds. As you're engaging in these races, right, you're thinking about how are these tires going to hold up over the race? How am I thinking about them? How can I build a better strategy to use these different tires in a way that might outdrive some of the competition here? It's a great new level of strategy and gameplay, right? That's just now in the game. And so when we talk about Tyre compounds, right, it's a new depth in car driving and racing strategy, right? So that pulls into our pitting strategy and things like how we deal with fuel management. So these are all new things that are, we've talked about before. And we'll go into detail, like super detail about how this all plays out, especially in our multiplayer, on a further Forza Monthly. I think everyone will be super excited with those details. I think it's a lot of what people have been waiting for.
Absolutely. And we can't really talk about tires and the compounds and how the sun and the time of day affects the track without actually talking about the tracks and the cars that everyone has seen. So we saw Maple Valley. That was the track that was there in the showcase. But do tell us what else can you say?
Yeah, so I think if you're paying attention, there's 5 tracks that we showed off in this trailer, right? Maple Valley, Spa, I'm sure people recognize Rouge, Laguna Seca, of course, and Kailami, which is a completely new to motorsport, real live circuit. It's one of my personal favorites. It's a South African track. It's super flowy. It's got some technical parts of it, and it's got some really high speed parts of it. Really beautiful high-speed corner, and tons of elevation changes. I think everyone's going to love this track. If you haven't seen it before or experienced it somewhere else, like this is one of my favorite tracks. I'm really, really happy we brought this to the game. It's one of the things that our team has really, really been focusing on is how do these new tracks that we're bringing into the game, how does it affect the gameplay, right? It's not just about having name recognition. Kailami may not be the most famous track, but it is one of the best driving tracks, in my opinion. I think in the team's opinion as well. For great racing, right? It's got a kind of a medium width track. The track width is about medium size, not too wide, not too narrow. It's got great opportunities for passing. It's got these great experiences and moments of elevation change and real flowy bits, technical bits. So to me, it's like the perfect track for all the type of racing that we want in the game, right? So from touring cars to GT to DPI or prototypes, this is the type of track that really it kind of highlights some real good racing across all of it. So yeah, really excited about Kailami. I hope everyone here is too. It is one of my favorites. And another one that you saw, new to motorsports, an original track, Circuit Hakone, really, really cool. It's a high-speed track. It's a circuit. I just want to be really clear about that. It is a GP circuit for us, and it shows off some of the, like, there's a good shot of it. Like in Maple Valley, we have these beautiful fall colors. Hakone takes place, or it's located in Japan, kind of close to Mount Fuji. And it's set in this wonderful time of year where you've got the cherry blossoms and they're falling, and it's such a romantic view of driving and racing. It's a wonderful track. So really looking forward to showcasing that off more. But yeah, we built Hakone with visuals in mind, but also with great gameplay in mind. Talked about that a little bit with Kailami, but it's just a commitment that the team has been making, that we are trying to bring to motorsport, is that these new original tracks that we have, they really are about, yes, great visuals, but most importantly, like the racing, the actual experience on track that's there. And I believe Hakone's got it. It's great. So I can't wait for everyone to see more of that and actually drive it. So yeah, 5 tracks. Like we are not just, we're not like releasing the game, a couple weeks or a month from now, but you've already seen 5 tracks, 2 of which are completely new to the game and the series. And I think that's really important. Like we have a bunch more tracks to show off, and there's going to be new tracks as well. Amazing. So we got a ton of time, and we're going to go in depth about all of these new things that are coming. And that's just on the track side. So I'm super excited about what we've shown. They look amazing, and they drive amazing, right? So on the car front, wow, talking a lot here.
That's what the people want.
Yeah. So I think there were about 37 cars shown collectively between the trailer and the demo videos, right? If you go to their website, it shows all of the different cars that we've shown, like 37 cars. And of those cars, this early, once again, we're super early in terms of showing all of this content, but we've shown 37 cars already. And a bunch of them are new to motorsport. Like never in a motorsport game have you been seeing these cars before. And this is so early already. So this is indicative of where we're going with our cars. It's a small sampling, but it should give you an idea of what we're building, what we're focused on, and the car list that you should expect to see when we launch, right? So lots of GT cars in there, lots of new GT cars in there, some new DPI cars in there. I personally love that the AMG GT3 is in there. Like that's one of my favorite cars. It's a beautiful car. It kind of harkens back to the Viper kind of body style, the Daytona Coupe body style. It's one of my favorite kind of silhouettes there. Love that AMG. It's from 2018, and it's one of the older new cars that we showed. Like that's incredible to me. How many of these cars are completely new, not just to motorsport, but super modern and super focused on motorsport. So that I just want to be clear. Like we did choose these cars to kind of show off like where we're going and hint about like, yeah, we're focused on modern, we're focused on motorsport, and I hope this gives you, if you're watching now and thinking about, what cars can we expect, I hope this gives you a taste of where we're going, and I hope we can deliver that, across the entirety of our car list. So expect a deep dive on that car list when we get closer to launch, but until then, I think this should give you a little bit of a teaser about where we're going there.
Absolutely. We've got to drip feed the information. Sorry, guys. It's necessary. Patience. Thank you so much, Chris. It has been a pleasure, as always, to finally be able to show the world what you and the team have been working on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks again, Leah, and thanks everyone. Hope to see you all soon.